Hey, what's up, gang? It's Adam from the Commander Smiths, and got a little spotlight action going on here. No podcast tonight. Lowry is out of the country, and so actually for the next couple weeks, we'll be doing. I'll try to do next Monday. Kind of depends on what I get done here. I got another deck lined up from the new set as well from Duskmourn, but tonight I am going to be working on Mindskinner, the Mindskinner. I do have a mill deck, but it's the Mothman, and I don't know if I consider that mill per se, because what it does is it mills, but it does damage. So most of my games, I haven't really milled out somebody to die as far as the deck tech goes. Or as far as the deck goes, but as far as damage goes, I have been able to kill people with the milling part of that. So this is a different animal. This isn't your typical mill, sit back, brew vac and mill out and then get killed because everybody doesn't want their stuff to go to the graveyard, and it's pretty easy for you to die because you don't have blockers because you're focused on mill, blah, 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 blah. No, this is different here because this, you kind of want creatures. You want your creatures to be able to do the damage. And I think as I was building this and gathering cards, my idea shifted of how I want to do it. And actually, the kind of cool thing is I'm going to start off with my initial idea of what I wanted to happen. But again, you got to work with what the colors you have. So blue doesn't have the greatest in the surround damage stuff, which I'll get to that in a second. And that would be great with this deck if I could do a lot more of that. So if we had add black in here or red or something like that, it'd be fantastic. But we're working with blue. I think this is actually going to be a fun idea. Before we get started, please make sure you guys hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, that would be great as well. Really hit that like button if you're watching this, because we do have some serial thumbs downers. So that does help us out. At least weed out the thumbs downers. All right, let's get started with this. How I'm going to start this off is I'm going to go through the entire deck of what I have in here. I'm going to say what cards are, why I have this in here. Typically, I don't cut when I go through the whole deck. So the first probably half an hour is just going through the deck and just saying each card why I added these in here. Sometimes I'll do cuts, obvious cuts. There are a couple in here that I'm showing you, but I'm probably going to cut right away. But we'll get to that when we get there. So then what we'll do is we'll go through, you can see we have the Commander deck blueprint down here. And this is kind of what Lowry and I came up with a couple years ago of just to kind of go off of when building a deck to help make those cuts there. So that's what I'll end up eventually go over once we go through all this stuff. So, all right, let's get started. Mindskinner, 3 blue for a 10-1 nightmare. It can't be blocked. And then it says if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and each opponent mills that many cards. So the cool idea would be something that can do damage to everybody all at once. Not Aetherflux. This is just a card. It's the package here. But let's show. Maybe let's start off with Giggling Skitter Spike. So this one, the cool thing about this is it deals damage to each opponent. So when you're doing that mass damage, you're preventing to each one of them, and everybody mills. So let's just say for shits and giggles, I didn't mean to do that, but shits and giggles here, you're Giggling Skitter Spike, you get it monstrous. Even if you don't, it's a 1-1. Let's just work with the 1-1 there. So it attacks. You deal 1 damage to each player. Now this is a source, and then that's another key part to this is the source has to be, because whatchamacallit, I have it in the deck. We'll get to it there. But if it doesn't say that this is dealing the damage, then you're not, and it just says losing life, then the Mindskinner is not going to work. So you need it to actually specifically say that, this is dealing the damage. So it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So you do 1 damage to everybody across, right? You start with the player to the left. That 1 is going to get reduced. It's going to get prevented. Everybody they all mill 1. Goes to the next player. They all mill 1. Next player mill 1. So in that one instance of this attacking, it triggers 3 times. Each one is going to hit each player 1 time. So if this is a monstrosity 5, so it's a 6/6, and you attack, first player, it gets, prevented. Everybody mill 6. Second player, mill 6. third player mill 6. They each mill 18 cards with just one swing of this. So I wish there were more things that did this. The only things and I already cut them. There's 1Z, 2Z damage here and there. Like beginning of each opponent's upkeep, lose a damage or lose a life. You also have the one artifact that when people put a land into play, they take 2 damage. That could be fun, but it's a little too minimal for what I want. But these are fantastic in here. Stuffy Doll, yeah, that's targeting a player, but it's still going to hit all the players at once. So Blasphemous Sack getting hit with this. Everybody, they're all milling 13 cards and all that fun stuff. So Aether Flux, the fun part about that is it is dealing damage. Aether Flux is dealing damage. Yes, you have to pay the 50 life, so that's a little bit complicated. But this is more of a spell-slinger type deck. So this is actually going to work really well in this. And then if you get down to it, 50 life, everybody, each player, besides yourself, each opponent mills 50 cards. They're not going to take 50 damage. They're going to mill 50 cards. So this is going to be brutal in this. And then mode. Oh, I got to have my buttons ready because of pronouncing stuff. Let's see. We're going to have to do... Kid can't even read. Okay, so... I'm just gonna call it the Storm Hammer because this is from Assassin's Creed and I don't know what that is, so because I can't read. So when it enters, you attach it to target legendary creature you control. So that's nice. Tap the 4, attach it to your main Mindskinner or whoever you wanted to attach it to. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then this deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of tap creatures that opponent controls. So if that opponent has all these creatures tapped down, they just swung out at somebody, maybe at you. You put this down. They have 5 tap creatures. Now, that same thing that the giggling dude does, let's say it does 5 damage to each opponent. It's not just that one opponent you're attacking. It's each opponent. So 15 cards get milled right off the bat right there. So these are my damage package. I wish it could be bigger, but you're only working with blue. It would be a lot bigger, and that was the angle I would have done if we had more to work with. But instead, we're going Spell-Slinger on this. So, I guess we're starting off with some of the Day of Dragons. We'll jump back to that because I want to kind of show you all the other stuff and then show you why the Day of Dragons works. Okay, so we got a lot of, like I mentioned, this is more of a Spell-Slinger deck. So it's all instant sorcery, kind of little spells here and there. Because we want to utilize we'll get to the draw in a sec. Let me show you why. Because the main idea is going to be the meatforce, which is going wide with everything. So we got a lot of stuff with drawing your second card. You get a 2/2, all the stuff that I put all that in here. We got 19 of them. We got the new dude, abhorrent. I don't know. Oculus. This is an I-5/5. You should be able to exile 6 cards from your graveyard. It should be pretty easy. But at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you're going to manifest Dread. So you're going to take the top card or top 2 cards, put 1 in the graveyard, put 1 as a 2/2 face down. So you'll get a 2/2 every turn cycle in this. And not only that, this is a 5/5 flying. So if you get your commander out, boom, you're hitting somebody for 5. They're each milling 5 cards. So this is going to be a pretty sweet card. I'm going to have to buy this card because I have not gotten this card yet, and it's one of the more expensive cards. It was in my top 10 as well. But yeah, this is a sweet card. All right, so Alandra Sky Dreamer. So whenever you draw your second card, you get a 2/2. If this is the 5th card you draw, if you draw your 5th card each turn, all your Drakes and this dude gets X plus X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So kind of a little cool... I don't know how often that's going to happen necessarily, but more so of you're drawing a lot of cards in this deck, so you should be able to get a 2/2 flying Drake. So this is the thing. This whole package is getting all these flyers out, or getting a bunch of dudes out there. Chasm Skulker, yes, you're not getting a bunch of them, but when he dies, you get the 1/1s. But at the same point, you're drawing a lot of cards. This guy's big. So if you get to the late game, and I should say that the idea of this deck is more... You don't play that commander necessarily right away. You build your army first. And then when it's like, okay, I can mill most of the players out, or not out, but a lot of their deck down in a couple, like 2 turns. Then you play your commander, all your other guys already have haste because they've been in play. They don't have haste, but they've already been in play, so they aren't summoning sickness. So then you swing in and you kill. So this guy could be pretty good. It might get cut because it isn't necessarily fitting in the theme that I've changed it to, but we'll get back to that later. Chrome Host Seed Shark. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, which is a lot of this deck, you're going to incubate. And then the incubate is you're tapping the 2, and then it basically transforms into that. So this is a 2/4 flying, though. So I do like that. So it is a little cumbersome with the tapping the 2, but it might be good enough to keep in here. Dika, Fractal Theorist. So this one is whenever you cast or copy a spell, you get a 1/1, or you get a creature, a green and blue creature, fractal creature token, where it's the mono value. And then you can make it so target creature can't be blocked. Kind of fun there. Docent of Perfection. Every time you cast an instant sorcery, get 1/1. So these are all going to be very similar. I'm not going to go through each one. This one's kind of a nice one to note because then every time you draw your second card on each turn, it doesn't say just your turn. So if you're drawing a card, your second card on another player's turn, you'll also get a 1/1. But you only get it the one trigger each time. But then if any of your illusions die, you can play a permanent from your hand, play it for free, basically, if it has mono value less than or equal to its power. These get bigger for each illusion that comes in. Murmuring Mystic. I think Nadir Crack, that's on a draw effect, so I do kind of like that. But giving you a 1/1. The Tentacle, it's easily blocked is my only problem. So that one we're probably going to move to sideboard with that guy. Ominous Seas, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards. You'll get an 8/8, which is always nice. This doesn't go away. This is kind of brutal. You remove the 8 counters and you get an 8/8. It's kind of nice in there. Puppet Stitcher, this gives you zombies. We got Psy, Master Thopterist. I do at the moment have, you can't see it there, but there is 37 artifacts I have in the deck. So at the moment, Psy will probably stay in, but it doesn't fit with the necessarily like the Spell-Slinger aspect of this. So I might end up cutting that guy here in a little bit. Shark Typhoon, again, same thing. This is one of the talents. So you get a 1/1 blue-red thing, or a red otter that has prowess. And once you get it to level 3, then you're getting 1/1s each time you cast an instant or sorcery. When it reaches level 2, return an instant. So this is pretty decent. You get a 1/1 right away. The 4 is kind of a lot to do a recursion. I almost feel like there's too many hoops with this one a little bit. We'll do that one as a sideboard as well. Talran, Sky Summer. This is a deck I originally wanted to build at some point for my son because his name's Drake. So I was going to make him a Drake deck. This might be as close as I'm going to get for a Drake deck because, I mean, this is what this deck's doing, is what Talran will want. So maybe this is the Drake deck right here. The Watcher in the Water, kind of cool here because you're going to be drawing cards on other people's turns. So then you can tap down their stuff with stun counters when you remove counters from that. And then you also get a 1/1 tentacle there. Whispering Wizard, you cast a non-creature spell, you get a 1/1 spirit that has flying, so we have evasive. It only triggers once each turn, so that you are a little bit limited there. Now when you're milling, you'll get at least potentially 3 1/1 horrors with that. Now, is that worth keeping in because they can just be chump blocked pretty easily. For now, we're keeping this in there just because the idea of having those. Oh, by the way, we have 59 cards now to cut as I have the lands in here already. Might not be all the lands that I want to keep in here. If you wanted to check out the deck list, it is below in the description, so you guys can check that out as I keep making cuts and all that stuff. When it gets finalized, I'll have the proper lands in here. All right, so mill aspect. I did have a lot. Originally, the idea was to make my commander make a bunch of evasive creatures and just swing in and, whatever. Like big fatties or whatever, swing in, hit people, hit one person, whatever. I kind of shifted from that. I don't know how many of these copy effects I'm going to keep in here because I did the Sakashimas, I did the Spark Double, I have the Auton Soldier. These are nice to have for the other guys, I guess, but your commander, I guess it's giving you another 10-1, which is kind of nice. So you're repeating the thing. So I'm probably going to keep them in there for now. But I don't... Helm of the Host, we've liked this card for so long, but it's so hard to make this thing work well because it's the 4 and then it's the 5 to equip. I think this is really only good if you have like a really high ramp deck. So if you're using green or if you're able to cheat the equip costs, I think that's another way to do it. Otherwise, it's really tough. And I was kind of playing around with this a little bit before, and I think it's just too hard to have in there. All right, so Blade of Cells, very nice because you're getting the Myriad effect. Now, if all 3 of your guys hit, they're probably not going to, but if they're flying and maybe they're evasive or put it on your... No, the commander won't work because the legendaries will kill themselves, but all the other guys, if you have the 2/2s or whatever out, you'll hit each person, and then each person is going to mill that. So let's say they're all 2/2s. They mill a total of 6 cards. So it's kind of nice there. Bone Horde. So the nice thing with this is you're milling. This is going to get huge. You put it on one of your evasive creatures, and everybody's going to mill their deck out pretty much. This is a solid card in there. Dreamtide Whale. I'm not going to keep that in there. I liked it as a 3-drop, but I think it's just there isn't evasive. You can get chump blocked with that guy. I think I'm actually going to get rid of Fire Shrieker. I was looking at equipment stuff for making my commander do double damage and all that stuff. I think this is good, but it's not what I want necessarily in this. Because like I said, there's a lot of setup in the deck. Not necessarily setup. You're just building your army. So I think it is going to be... You have 2 ways of winning, which is kind of an interesting thing because I don't normally have 2 completely different ways of winning. One, you could never cast your commander and just straight up kill people with damage, right? You get people low enough and you just decide, well, I'm not going to cast my commander. Or you cast your commander early enough and you're milling people, it gets killed, and then you're like, well, this is late game. Everybody's kind of low life. Thanks for killing my commander because now I can just deal the damage. So there's almost kind of like a double threat in this because people hate mill, but they also don't want to lose their life. And life is a lot lower than milling 100 cards. Well, technically, by the time you really get going, you're probably only milling 80 cards. But the nice thing about this is that it hits each player. That's the one downfall with mill a lot of times is you have trouble hitting everybody. There's the really big ones are targeting one player, and it just sucks to nail one player out of the game, and then you go to the next player and you kind of fizzle out. So I like this in that I really just need to hit. If there's one player doesn't have flyers, I'm swinging at that player. Everybody's getting milled. So, all right. So Glammed Ring gets 1+L for each instant of sorcery in your graveyard. The big thing there is that, because the secondary part is when it deals combat damage. If your commander's out, it won't deal combat damage because it's going to prevent that damage. Brewvac, we're just doubling all that. Mindcrank is just kind of doing the similar thing. So if your commander gets killed too much, Mindcrank does this as well because that player puts that many cards. Again, you have to remember your commander is preventing the damage. So the damage gets dealt. Everything will trigger, but then it's going to go, well, actually, you didn't lose life. So then it actually takes... I was kind of looking at this with Judge stuff. And so there's some effects that I'll get to in a little bit that won't work. And this one, you won't work together with it. It's more of if your commander gets killed or you want to play something that does a similar thing. This is that. So the hard part is now when you're swinging in, it's only doing it to that one player. So maybe I do just want this one out of there. We have it whenever an opponent loses life, that player puts in many. The nice thing is if other players are doing, this still does the damage, which is kind of nice. We'll keep it there for now. All right, so the Living Thesis, the Octavia. So it's 8 less if you have 8 or more instant or sorceries in your graveyard. It has Ward 8. And the Magecraft is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, target creature has base power toughness 8/8. So that is just going to be, that's going to wreck shop right there because you're just turning one of your 2/2s that you're swinging in with. And it's instant or sorcery. So you cast an instant once you know, oh, they're not blocking this. Oh, you thought it was a 2/2? Well, actually, it's an 8/8. And now everybody mills 8 there. Psychosis Crawler is what I was talking about earlier. So this one, it would be great if it said Psychosis Crawler did the damage, but it does not. It says whenever you draw a card, or Psycho, blah, 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 yeah, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. This is just good to have in here, to have it as a creature that's out. It's getting bigger as your hand gets bigger, but it's also dealing damage, or they're losing life as you're drawing cards, and that's what this deck is going to do a lot of. This gets it X plus O or equal to the amount of sorceries and instants in your graveyard. Now we got the repeats of those guys, and then we talked about Zelix already. So I think that's everybody there. And I think we get, let's get to some protection stuff. So Aetherize, sure, we got spell-slinger stuff. These are just going to kind of protect you. This is what you kind of want in a spell-slinger or a mill kind of deck, because people are going to want to come after you. They don't want to mill shit. So they're coming after you there. Commander's Plate, perfect in a 1-color deck because you have protection from everything but blue. So that's pretty nice there. Cryptic Command, have this in here mainly because tap all creatures your opponents control. Love mode stuff, so you can use it for returning a permanent, drawing a card, countering a spell. But in a mono blue, this is perfect in here. 4-drop to tap all creatures your opponents control. This is kind of, I don't know if I have that tagged as a game winner. Yes, I do. Okay. It is a game winner as well because you tap down everything, swing at 1 player, game over. And actually, March of Swirling Mist should be also a game winner because you can do that to another player. It doesn't have to be you. So March of the Swirling Mist, up to X creatures phase out. So you can phase out all of your opponent's creatures, swing in, and then you win the game by milling everybody out there. So Lava Spur Boots, we want to give our dude haste because once he comes in and people are going to be scared, can't block him, so that's kind of nice. Gives you the haste there, gives you the haste there. I love Mithril Coat for protection. Spellskite, of course. Sublime Epiphany. We are wanting to create more tokens of things, so that's also why that's there. Bouncing things. Sublime Epiphany. For people that don't counter spells, it's nice to have modal ones because then I can have counter spells in the deck when I'm not actually using them as counter spells. But a lot of times what I would be doing is protecting my stuff. We had Swiftfoot Boots, and then 3 steps ahead. It has the counter spell stuff, but it has the token, and it also has the draw thing. So this is just a nice card to have in the deck as well. So, all right, ramp stuff. Here's where I might get a couple cards cut here. Maybe. So you got your normal ramp. You got your Arcane Signet, your Felwar Stone. The thing I wanted to add in was like the Caged Sun, the Gauntlet of Power, the Heraldic Banner, because it's giving you an Anthem effect on your little guys that you're making. And that makes it so they're more brutal for the milling part. So I like these. These are high casting costs, so they're a little bit tougher. But I really like these in the deck. Let's see. Ramp Rocks. I got to grab my cards to see. I can't see it on there. So we want 13 to 17. So we're in that range. I wouldn't necessarily consider Caged Sun and Gauntlet of Power that. Reduction of spells, I would consider that. So we got all those. This guy's kind of fun because he's a flyer, so he's evasive. It's only a 3-drop. And his power is as big as your sorceries and instants in your graveyard. So this could do a lot of damage mid to late game there. Thought Vessel. Oh, this one's kind of fun. Okay. So Wizards of They. So the Myriad part is really nice because you may cast sorceries as though they had flash. So when you're attacking 1 player, it makes the 2 copies. So now your instant and sorcery spells are reduced by 3. So that's kind of sweet. But also, you got the Myriad part. So if all 3 of them hit, they're milling 9 cards. But the other part is now all your spells cost that much less. And you can cast those sorceries at that time. Now at the end of combat, the 2 of them are going to go away and you have back to 1. So you'll want to cast everything there. But this is kind of a fun card to put in this deck. Then we got Thunderclap Drake, so we're reducing our stuff like everything else. So like the Sapphire Medallion. Is there another reduce? This guy seems pretty interesting. So no matter what, you're going to drop 4, get the Elemental Fish. You have instant and sorcery spells cost 1 blue or 1 colorless less for each land you control with a flood counter. So when it comes in, you get to put a flood counter on a land. And then it's also an island. And then when it attacks, you get to put a flood counter. So at the very least, when this is in play, all your instant and sorcery spells cost 1 blue less or colorless, but most of this is going to be blue, which is really nice because then you can cast your ponders and all that stuff for free. And then every turn that you attack with this guy, they're going to get 1 more less. And his power and toughness is equal to the islands you control. This is going to be pretty big because this is very heavily on the islands in this at this point. All right, so then we get our removal package. We got all your little fun guys. I don't typically like doing the little spot removal. I like things like this more. Curse of the Swine, where you're hitting mass things. But in this, you're a spell-slinger. We want to be casting these little guys here. This one's kind of fun because it has the storm. We kind of talked about this during the spoilers. Or no, actually we didn't. This was on my, Lowry and I talked about it before casting. I was like, I really like this card, but it doesn't have to be in the top 10. The cool thing is it has the storm effect to it. And that's not just spells you cast, so it has the flash on it. So you could do this on other players' turns. You can set it up by casting your instants and sorceries to be able to hit multiple targets with it. But it's an enchant creature. It makes it turn into a 1/1 with a base power 1/1, and it's a frog. So this is kind of a sweet card, especially if you're playing a Spellslinger in blue. Now we got more Spellslinger stuff. We'll just kind of run through a lot of these. So it's just a lot of it is drawing more cards because you're just wanting to cast spells, draw cards, get creatures. So it's a lot of that kind of thing. We already showed you the removal stuff. Frantic Search, March of the Swirly Mist, Opt, Preordain. We'll get to the token copy. Maybe I don't have this up above. So Quantum Misalignment is kind of fun because you can make a copy of your commander or whatever because it loses the legendary part, and then it rebounds. So your next turn you get to cast it for free. So you're getting to copy tokens twice, and you're casting it again because you're casting it without... you may cast this card from exile. So the rebound is really nice because then you get to get it for free and get your effects off of your other stuff in the deck. Let's see what else. Basically just a lot of draw and removal is all the Spellslinger stuff I'm doing there because you want all your stuff. This guy's got to go. I do like it. I think we got enough other things to get your commander to do its stuff. And then at the moment I have the 36 land. So let's go back up. I skipped a couple sections. What did we skip? The meatforce we did there. Oh, got the hinder stuff. So we got back to basics. If you're just in a mono blue, yes, be a dick. Play your back to basics. Lands don't untap that are non-basic. Harbinger of the Seas. Or no, it's Harbinger. That's how I always like to say it. I thought the R was there. It's like, oh, actually it is Harbinger. And then Jingataxius. This is not the one that you draw the 7 cards. But this fits in a Spellslinger deck because every artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, you get to copy it. And then every artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, your opponent's the first spell is countered. So this is kind of brutal to get out. Niblis of Frost, so it has prowess. It's a flyer, so it's evasive right there. But the nice thing is you cast that instant and you're going to tap a creature that opponent controls and it doesn't untap during its controller's next on step. So it kind of gets a stun counter, but not really stun counters. Then we got Propaganda. And I finally have a spot for Wandering Archaic because whenever an opponent casts this instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell. So you want to be casting, well, you're copying it. So there are a lot of those meatforce guys. Let me show you a couple of them. That's a cast. Here, oh yeah, Magecraft has the cast or copy, so that one triggers that. Whenever you draw, nope, that's a draw. That one's a cast. Where's my cast or copy? Anything that says Magecraft on it, you're gonna get that trigger. So maybe there isn't as many as I thought that I had. This one does. Nope. So I only have one so far. No, I know there's another one. Not Mina. Not that one. Cast, insert sorcery. Oh, maybe Wandering Archaic isn't going to fit because I don't have enough other dudes that are going to do it. But I swear I had at least one more. Oh, because there's the draw one. And that's why it's up here. So the other one that's going to trigger is the Archmage of Emeritus. has that. Yeah, so the Magecraft on that, caster copy, an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. So I was thinking that would work well because everything else, you got to cast it, so that won't trigger. Oh, I didn't show you guys the evasive ones. I think I just stopped at hinder. So I think Wandering's got to go. Dang it! Thought I had a spot for you. I'm going to put it to sideboard just in case. Change my mind later. Okay, let's show you some of these evasive creatures. Okay, Curiosity Crafter. It's 4. You have no maximum hand size. Has flying. And then whenever a token you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Okay, so here's one problem. You're not doing combat damage because it's going to be prevented. So this guy's good until you get your commander out. Then it's not good anymore. It's still evasive. It's still a 3/3 4 drop. You have no maximum hand size. But it doesn't work the way that I want it to. And I have a couple in here that are going to do the similar things. So I think at the moment we got to sideboard it. But I wanted to show you that. There is another one we'll get to in a second. A Fairy Mastermind, let's just draw some more cards. And it's also evasive. We have the flying. God, Eternal Kefnet. So if you have an instant or sorcery card on your first card that you draw, you can pay 2 less and then you can copy that spell. So it costs. So let's say you show a preordain. You're going to pay 1. You don't need to play the one that's from your hand. You're getting the copy to play there. So that's kind of nice there. That you cast it, copy that card, and you may cast that copy. So you're still casting it, so you get the triggers. All right, it's in the sorcery spells cost 1 less. Already showed you that one. Ledger Shredder, so player casts their second spell. That includes yourself. So Ledger Shredder is really nice in that way. You get to connive. Loyal Drake, that might be a little too slow because you're just getting the 1 draw if your commander is out. So I'm going to get rid of that guy there. This one's kind of fun, especially because it's a spell-slinger deck. So every time you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. It's unblockable, okay? When it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. If you do, when you cast the next instant or sorcery spell, you copy it. So you get to do it twice. This is just great because you're going to be casting a lot of instant and sorceries. It can't be blocked, so you're going to get through no matter what. Mockingbird, one of our newer cards, is from Bloomborough. It enters as a copy as any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana you spend to cast it. So I could tap the 4, and then it could become the same as my commander, and then it has flying and all that stuff. So I think this is kind of a fun one. We were talking about Niblis. O'Hare, I can't read it. Deepest Epoch. It has flying instant. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it has that rebound. So that's the nice thing. You get to cast it for free at the beginning of your next turn. When it dies, you return to the battlefield. That part's not a big deal. Kind of nice because then you remove a time counter. You can transform it once you remove all the time counters on it. So does it get? For each time you cast a commander. Nope. 3 time counters. So it turns into a land, and after 3 turns, you can flip it back over to the flyer here. One of the nice, cool new ones from Duskmourn. Silent Hall Creeper. It is unblockable. You have to, when it deals combat damage to a player, choose one that hasn't been chosen. So you hit somebody. If your commander's out, you're probably going to do the 2/1/1 counters first, because then, let's see, when it deals combat damage to a player, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Oh, if your commander's out, it won't continue to do its thing. Interesting. When it deals combat damage to a player, choose one. Okay, so that's an interesting thing to do. You want this out early. I'm just now realizing. I thought it was upkeep that you got all the triggers here. You hit, you give it the 2/1/1 counters. Your next turn, you hit, draw your card. The next turn, you play your commander, because now when it hits, you don't need, because it's preventing the damage and they're doing the whatever, so you don't need to do the last trigger. Although the last trigger is nice. You want to change it into your commander or something, be nice, or something else that's really big. It would still have the 2/1/1 counters on it, so I think this one could be really interesting. Thassa, let's make things unblockable. And then instant and sorceries cost 1 less to cast, and it's a 2/1. All right, so that was my what? That was my evasive stuff. Oh, there's my draw package. Did I already talk about all my draw stuff? No, I didn't, because I didn't talk about... And we didn't talk about the game winners, right? Okay, yeah. So we have those 2 sections left. Just want to make sure we got the hindering done. Yep, okay. So let's do the draw. Draw just a bunch of spell-slinger stuff. The things I will point out is like the Archmage of Emeritus. Like that one's nice. You're going to cast spells. You're going to draw cards. And now we are getting some of these that I'm going to have to get rid of. So Enduring Curiosity. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I kind of want to keep some of these in here. I'm doing sideboard for now. But again, if your commander's out, this no longer works. So that isn't going to work. Draw a card for each island you control. Then discard 2 cards. For 5, that's kind of a lot. But if you get a lot of that reduction, actually might be pretty good. Ponder, Preordain. I don't think we necessarily need Sensei's Top. I know that's kind of crazy, but you are drawing so much in this deck, and I'm doing sideboard because I love that card so much. Teferi's Teferi Master of Time. This is gonna be easy to protect actually, because you're gonna have all these meat force. You have all these little chump blockers you can throw in front of it, and if something's gonna get through, you can finally phase it out. But this is really gonna get you. You're gonna get to that take 2 extra turns after this one pretty easily with that. So that's pretty brutal. The Indomitable, good card. Would be great if we weren't preventing the damage, but we'll go to sideboard with that. The Magic Mirror costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. You have no maximum hand size. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on it, then draw a card for each knowledge counter on it. Now, is this a little too much? Oh, that's... At the very least, you're paying 3 to give you no maximum hand size. You're drawing 1, then you're drawing 2, then you're drawing 3. It might be just a little too cumbersome to have that in there. We'll get rid of that one. The One Ring, I like this one, though. This is a little bit easier, and you can do it whenever you want. So you can draw the cards. There's a lot of stuff that you want to draw cards on other people's turns. The One Ring is going to allow you to do that. Plus, it gives you a little bit of protection that first turn that it comes in. Reality Chip, this is kind of fun, being able to play spells when you attach it to something. It is also an equipment. So if you guys remember how Reconfigure is if the creature dies, then this turns into a creature. Then you can reconfigure it to a creature later, like an equipment is. But when it is on a creature, then you can play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. So it's really nice, especially in a Spell-Slinger deck. Wave Break, Hippocamp. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So that is going to help a little bit because you're casting a lot of spells. Let's see. Windfall. Yeah, let's just refill our hand. You have no maximum hand size. Draw 2 cards. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. No, I don't think that one's going to work for what I want to do. So that one's gone. And then Zenith Chronicler. We're only playing monocolor spells. So whenever anybody else's color or playing their first multicolor spell, everybody's going to draw a card. It's helping everybody, but you're going to benefit, and most likely, you know, you're not helping anybody else out. Everybody's helping you out. So I like that in there. All right. Last but not least, we have the Day of Dragons. So we have Clone Legion. You can either do all your creatures, or, you know, it just depends on the state. This is why it's the Day of Dragons. It's 9-drop, probably going to win the game because you're swinging in and milling everybody to death. So that's a fun one there. We already talked about Cryptic Command, March of the Swirly Mist. Let's get into Nano Gene Conversion. Choose target creature control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. Oh, all my 2/2s, I'm going to turn them into 10 1s that are unblockable. Sure. So this is a great card to have for a game winner. And then Sleep. Tap all of target player creatures they control. They don't untap during that player's next untap step. So not only do you have that one time to swing through, and you just need to hit one player and everybody mills. But then you get another turn of being able to possibly, if you don't kill everybody, then you get 2 turns. So this is a nice card to have in there. I didn't really look into it. There might be more sleep type effects, and that might be a good idea to have in the deck, but we have 2 similar, 3 kind of in this aspect here. So it might be a good enough, a good amount in there. So I don't know if I would add any more. Day of Dragons 3 to 5. We are at our 5, so we probably don't need to add much more into that. Okay, so that was the deck in a nutshell. We have 47 more cards to cut. We started at 160 something, 61, 62. So it didn't cut much on the first time around. So now it's time to get through and start making those cuts. I think what I need to do a lot of is probably getting away from those evasive stuff. We're kind of leaning towards the spell-slinger side of things. So let's kind of look at our evasive creatures. I think this one's really nice as a fine. For 3 drop for a flying 5/5, you're going to be able to fill your graveyard. This is like a perfect deck to have this in. Got to buy it, but I get it's going to be a perfect deck to have that in. I think this one, although I like it, the having to pay 2 later to flip it over, and then that creature is actually a ground creature, because it's just an artifact creature. I think this one has to go. I loved this card when they spoiled it, but I just don't think it's going to fit for what I want to do. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. Forcing people to draw. It's 2 drop. Keep it for now. Yeah, because you're still copying. Cast the copy. So I still like that. And I like that. And I like that. Oh, I know I liked this when I was originally talking about it. Cast your next instant or sorcery spell. Copy it. You choose new targets for the copy. So again, we got to remember that copy part of it. It is nice to do a copy though. Like the thing is this is going to fill up. I think this is actually good because it has the unblockable part. So you're milling everybody at 2 at least. If you don't attach any of your other equipment to it, I think this one stays because you are casting enough non-creature spells. It doesn't have to be instant or sorcery. You can cast your artifacts and everything, and I think that one's pretty good. The Mockingbird, I think that coming in as a copy and you're tapping the X, I mean, yeah, I think that one's got to go. I like it, but it got to go. This one, I like it because it fits with the Spell-Slinger. Yep, Rebound for sure. Might get rid of our Thassa here because it's not necessarily fitting with what we want to do. I do like that it gets unblockable, but I don't think we're really worried about that. We have a lot of flyers that fits with what we're doing there. Rebound, we already talked about that one. Can't be blocked, so it's another creature we can attach those equipments to. Aetherize, back to basics. I think we got enough dick cards going on here. Propaganda, I like it, but do we have enough? I mean, I'll keep it there for now. I'm just thinking, are we gonna have enough of going wide that we don't need a propaganda because we got enough blockers? We'll keep it for now. We're just running through everything. Did I go evasive creatures? That was the first thing we just went through there. I don't want to hit the draw yet. I know we're overdone with the draw, like of 26, and normally we're at 12 to 18. But this is strictly cast spells, get stuff. So let's get to our meatforce stuff. Let's look at some of these. I think we'll get rid of Chasm Skulker because he isn't evasive. He's big, but you know, when he's big enough, people aren't going to, they're going to leave up a chump blocker for him. You know, I like it. He's huge, but I think we need, if he was making those 1/1s as you were drawing cards, fantastic. If it was doing like a Locust God kind of thing, I'd love it. But the fact that he doesn't, we need to get rid of it. Okay, so like this one, whenever I draw a card, create a 2/2 blind flying creature. Yes, that's perfect. Or you draw your second card. So it's a little bit nerfed so that it's not too broken. And then when we cast, yep. Well, what do these guys do though? They're on the ground, but it is making a bunch of them. This is a 5-drop. Is that a little too much? The nice thing is they're not 1/1s, you know, necessarily. The lowest they'll be is 1/1s. Most likely 2/2, 3/3, 4/4s. We'll keep it there for now. I know there's some on my mind, like I'm probably going to cut. That's pretty good. She's pretty good. Draw your second card each turn. Get one. See, I like that where it's not, it's just drawing. I'm going to be drawing cards. That's going to be triggering. That's going to be triggering. That 8/8 might be a little too, you know, I like it. But is the 8/8 doing enough? I got 43 cards to cut. I think we got to get rid of one. We'll do sideboard on that. I've seen Lowry use that one before, and it's done some work. So the 2/2s with Decayed. Beginning upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform. What's the transform of this one? Lose all abilities and have base power 3/3. So your Decayed go away. So you can swing in as 3/3s. That's not bad. Beginning your upkeep, you may transform it back. That's not too bad. Sai, I think I want to get rid of. I know I have a lot of artifacts, but we are trying to go spell-slinger. So this doesn't necessarily fit for what we're doing. Shark Typhoon. Yes, because you got a flying shark. Love it. Yes. I don't think this one's going to do enough that makes it worthwhile. Rid of that one. Non-creature spell, get a 1/1 spirit with flying. It only triggers once. But it's a non-creature spell, so you can cast those artifacts and get that. I like that. All right, I think Zelix we're going to get rid of because the 1/1 black horrors don't do anything. Like, yeah, you're going to get 3 of them, but they aren't really going to help you there. We'll do a sideboard on that so I can revisit him potentially. All right, I think this is where we'll get some more cuts. I like the Blade of Selves. I like the Bone Horde. I like Bruvac. Let's think here for a second. Gets 1+0 for each instant in the graveyard. Yeah. Mind Crank. Okay. Enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it isn't legendary. It's an artifact in addition to other types and has Myriad. Oh, yes. That is a for sure. We want to keep that in there. Because now you're copying one and automatically it's a Myriad making more. So except it isn't legendary. So yeah, you do it to your commander and now you attack with 3 10/10s that can't be blocked. So that one's almost a game ender in itself there. So I'm getting back to Mind Crank. So if that player puts so many cards in their library, that one might just stay. This one's kind of brutal. 8 or more instant or sorcery cards. Yeah. Psychosis Crawler. I think where I'm gonna lose, guys, is these. Yes, it'd be nice to have similar effects going on. Oh, but man, to make another 10/1, another 10/1, another 10/1. It's just there's a different strategy with it. You know, if you're either going Spell-Slinger or you're making multiples of it. I mean, I basically have all the copy ones, the good ones, here. So it just kind of comes down to where do I want things to go. Number of instant sorceries in your graveyard. Bone Horde is the biggest one. Creature cards in all graveyards. Kind of hard to decide on that. I'm going to move along. Move along. Commander's Plate. I think you can get rid of that and it's not your commander's color identity. I like having our hasty stuff. I have 39 cards to cut. We might be fine with not having the Aetherize these guys in here necessarily because we're making enough blockers. And that's the thing I think that's going to be different about this deck is your commander isn't going to be people aren't going to see the mill until you get the commander out. So you have to decide, depending on your starting hand. Like, let me just do this really quick. Playtest. So this starting hand, we got Sakashima, some spell-slinger stuff. I'm having trouble even seeing. Oh, we got some dudes there. So, well, that wouldn't be a hand I'd keep. Let's see, restart. Because I don't have enough land. I'm just trying to... Oops. Did that restart it? There we go. Nope, that didn't give me the right stuff there. Let's restart one more time. Okay, so in this one, you got your murmuring dude. You got this dude. I'd probably set up with... We got one of these guys. Are we getting enough draw? Or for your spell slinging? That's the part that's going to be interesting to play. Is I think each time you're going to have to decide: is the deck? Are you going? Is it going to be enough to go right away to your Mindskinner and have this be the threat? Like, I think if you got protection right away in your hand, you drop the protection down. You get Mindskinner out, and then you start swinging away, getting people down, and then you start playing your other stuff to start putting blockers out. So I think that's the route I would go most of the time. Yeah, I think that's what I would be doing. All right, we're back to draw. God, 37 cards. I don't know. I'm going to cut all this stuff. Oh, crap. But we're doing spell-slinger, so I need to kind of get away from some of these guys. Whenever your opponent draws a second card, you draw a card. I like it. This one I have control. This one I don't. So I think doing sideboard with that one. I think this one... Yeah, I think that one's going to sideboard too. It's really expensive unless you get those reductions in your casting cost. Scry, Brainstorm, Brain Surge. So you get for 3 more, or for 2 more, you get to draw 4 cards. It should have been a little bit better. Should have been only put 1 on top, but whatever. Consider, Scry, Frantic Search, Leisure Shredder. This one can get really low, and then you have no maximum hand size. Oh, Season of Weaving. I did not talk about this one. But choose an artifact or creature you control. Make a copy of it. This just might be too much. Yeah, I think that one's a little too much. Move that one to sideboard. Ageless Insight. We're going to be drawing a lot of cards. So if it would be the draw, except for the first one you draw in each of your draw steps. So if you draw cards on other people's turns or draw cards with any of these other cards, this thing's going to trigger. So that one's pretty nice there. Counter target spell, token, and 2. So that's similar to the one that we just dropped out. But it has protection kind of built in on it with the counter spell part. I do like the windfall to reset, because it is kind of milling in a way, because they are discarding. So they're getting rid of their hand, drawing more cards. So it's kind of, especially if you have no maximum hand size and you drew a lot, you could go, all right, windfall, boom, draw more cards. It's kind of like milling their deck in a way. All right, we're down to 34 cards. See, this is where I suck at building sometimes, is I'm just like, I want everything in the deck. Oh, crap. I like these 4 hindering cards in here. I don't have a lot of non-basics at the moment. I think that if that changes, if I get a lot more, then I will get that out of there. I think that this only triggering... You are getting a flyer, though. I think these being on the ground might be a problem. So we have 11 things that are triggering off of that. I almost feel like I can't get rid of much more of these, because I need... This is the whole idea of the deck. You know, it's spell slinging to get those dudes, right? I think I need to get rid of some of these equipments that aren't gonna. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, may cast an instant sorcery spell from your hand without. Okay. And that's good for later. That's good for later. X is the number of instant sorcery spells from your graveyard. Has first strike. The first strike we don't care about, so this is strictly just a better card, right? Oh, that says the first strike too. The equip cost is a little bit less. How many instant sorceries do we have here? 19 instants, 12 sorceries. 31 artifacts, 36 creatures. Man, oh man, oh man. What to do? We got a lot of protection stuff. Ward 1 really is not anything. The haste is nice. I think because of how much draw we're going to do, we can get rid of that. Lightning Greaves, love it. Commander's Plate's kind of like giving you unblock. It's already unblockable though, so I really don't need that part. So I think actually we're going to remove that. Yeah, they're already unblockable, so that I don't care about. We want to protect, so we're going to keep that. Spellskite, always good to have, and it's also a nice blocker. So I think we got our 2 boots and greaves. We got these as protection, and we got enough counter magic in a way. So I think we're good for protection stuff. A lot less than I normally do. Protection, 8 to 12. So we're at the bottom of our protection stuff. But that's the thing is, like, the commander, I'm not as worried about, you know? Like, it's a 3-drop in this deck. It's going to be easy. If it gets killed, you just bring it back. It's really about getting everything else out. Okay, we didn't really touch our ramp stuff. We want our rocks to stay. We need a lot of these. Let's look at some of these. When it enters, you may exile target land you control. Then your lands double, basically. Land with the same name as that. Exile is tapped for mana. That's pretty solid there. Ugh. No maximum hand size or drawing a lot, so we kind of want to keep all that. Well, I didn't do anything there. I'm like, all right, here's where we need to cut some stuff. Nope. Choose a color whenever a basic land is tapped for mana. The chosen color you control as initially. Yeah, that's solid. Yeah. Kind of got to keep these because we're in mono. And it's giving you that anthem effect. So, yeah, got to kind of keep it. The first instant or sorcery spell costs 1 less. It's as big as a many. So this is blockable. Attacks, put a flood counter. So the first spell is going to cost less. I like that it reduces it to like the blue, which is really nice there. Do we have enough effects? So we have 1, 2, 3. 3 that are going to get my islands to tap for double. I almost think I got to keep that in there. Really just ramp up that. So ramp and rocks. 13 to 17. So we're in that range. We have anything down here? Okay, removal. The only thing I'll say about this one is it doesn't fit with the spell-slinger part, instant sorcery. So maybe we got to pop this one out. I like it a lot, but it doesn't fit with what we're trying to do, so you're not getting the benefit. And I'm really low on the removal. I'm at the bottom. Like, I can't remove anything else. But I didn't add the counter spells in here, so I actually would think the counter spells could be removal in a way. So you add in, where's my protection? 1, 2, 3 counter spells in a way. 4 March of the Swirly Mist. Did I have that in there? So you're really kind of at 11. Destroy, exile. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're good with the removal. Our spell-slinger stuff. These are just everything together. The Seagate just might be a little much. You have no maximum hand size. It just might be a little too much. I'll go to sideboard with that. Preordained. We want a bunch of these little guys. What are we down to? 30 cards. So we have cut it in half. Time to cut 30 lands. Just kidding. Why do I see no out? I'm like, how do I get out of this? What do I need to cut? I'm going back to these guys. But how nice would it be to copy some of these guys with those? I'm like, oh, those work so well. And I think I can get rid of propaganda. This is fitting in the theme. This is slowing things down. Evasive creatures. That works with this. And your upkeep. So you are filling your graveyard back up. To have like guys like these that their power and toughness depend on instant and sorceries. So sorcerer has rebound. Yeah, that's solid. When you cast your next instance as a sorcerer spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone. Oh, that's kind of... I was more focused on the reduction there. Okay, sounds pretty good. Let's do a little play testing really quick. We're going to get a good hand to start just because we are, we're 30 or 29 cards over, so the land isn't in the right spot. Okay, so we have 1, 2. Nope, I want to start when I have 3 lands. Oops. Restart. Give me another one. Come on. There's 2. Let's see. Come on. When I was doing this with 160 cards, I was hitting easily 3 land. Like, what is going on? Is there another? Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's like, hey, you have less land or less cards? Let's make it. Okay, there we go. We got 3. All right, let's draw a card. I'm going to throw. We got 4 land, actually. Throw the land out. 2 drop there. Okay, so then our next turn. We probably throw that out. Get this little guy out. Next turn, we're just going to do draws. 3, that's 4. 2, that's a removal. So we probably swing in to get the count, maybe to get the draw. But it would be nice to get our commander out. So maybe, we'd swing in, get the counters, and then probably drop our commander out. Then we go next turn. Oh, we got protection there. We can throw, probably War Room would go out. I'd probably swing in for 3/13 and keep this here just in case. And then if somebody tried to kill it, I'd be like, well, boop. That protects that. We have 1 left over for a brainstorm. We have to draw 3 cards. Put 2 back. Ooh, we would get that guy. Hell yeah. So yeah, I think in this case, we'd be focused on the mill part until they killed it, got rid of it, you know. We'd put 2 back. So I think then my next turn I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd probably get the little baby thing out, or no, we're focused on the mill, so we'll probably go for this little guy here. Then our spells cost less. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now our instant and sorcerers already cost less, but we only have the 1. So then our next turn we'd be able to swing in with this and everything. Well, let's see. Boop. It gets out. So yeah, we don't have enough instant and sorceries at this point for any of these guys. We have 2 of them that would matter with it. Oh, that didn't really solve anything for me here. Crap. Didn't solve a damn thing, and I don't necessarily want to get rid of any of these. Clone Legion, maybe, but I feel like that's a good card to have in here. It's not about everybody else's creatures. It's about all the creatures you have and just swinging in and milling everybody out. So maybe whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. How many instants did I say we had? 19. You know, I already see one that needs to go. The Chronicler, yeah, I'm in a monocolor, but we got enough draw going on. We don't need that there. Windfall to be able to draw on other people's turns will be nice. But do I really need it? I think we have enough draw going on. And we don't need it. Crazy, I know. I'm down to 27. Leisure Shredder. Just kind of running through everything again. Jin-Gitaxias is going to be brutal. That's kind of like a protection in a way, too, because instants and sorceries are going to be what people try to remove your stuff. Maybe we just have too much. A 2/2. This one can be blocked. I like the flyers. What do we have for flyers? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a ground one, but it gets bigger. That's a ground one. 5, 6. So we have 6 creating flyers. This is a 5-drop. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a blah, 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 blah. That's 5 to do that. Whenever you draw your second card, each turn. I like this being a creature. You're going to get a benefit from it the first cycle around. It's card benefit there. But this guy, they can't block. They have to attack. I think we get rid of him. We're doing sideboard with him for now. What is his ability? Exile, summonings, return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. 6 or more artifacts. That one's pretty good. So the interesting thing is, like, the casting ones are really nice because you're able to get more than one. These guys, or this one and this one, it's only on your draw and only when you draw your second card. So you really got to be drawing cards on other people's turns, which if you're drawing 2 cards, most likely you've cast 2 spells, 1 to 2 spells. So these other ones have triggered twice and these triggering once. And then they don't trigger anymore that turn. I wish the blue illusion had flying. I think because these are the main idea, I want to keep at least the 10 that are there. Oh, that sucks that it's only the once it triggers. One time. And I just don't know if we're going to get enough spells into the graveyard for this to cost 8 less. Because like I said, there's... Now we have 30 total spells. For this to cost 8 less, I think it'd have to be a lot more than that. So... yeah, I think the idea here is this. That's got to go sideboard there. I like this idea too, but I think we're already doing it with our commander. So let's get that one there, because if your commander's out, this one doesn't trigger. So that one can go. Psychosis Crawler. You're drawing lots of cards in this deck. So this should do a lot of damage, but then you're not doing the other thing that we want to do. It's not doing what I want to do, but it does get big. Sideboard. All right. Play to selves. Pruvac. Okay. We're dropping down. We're dropping down to 23 cards left. Might not get them all tonight, but we're getting down there. Ramp rocks. I feel like this is where I need to adjust a little, but I have all the main guys I want in there. Thought Vessel to give our no maximum hand size. This guy might be the only one I'm like weary on a little bit. First instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 1 less. Could be 2, then 3. It does get bigger for how many you have out. This is some of the problem is anticipate. You're not drawing. It's you look at them, puts in your hand. Draw, 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 draw. That is a draw. Scry and draw. Look. Put one of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom. But it's still an instant thing where I'm filling my hand up and triggering all the other stuff. Create a token of the target. Accept it. Token has flying and isn't legendary. Love that. Okay. More of this. More of this. And I might, when I'm done with this, look for more cards that are similar to this. Because we already have a couple, but not creatures. I want spells so that we're getting our triggers. Boop, 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 boop. So if I am going that route, see this one's creating a token. Then if I really am just hunkering down on the spell stuff, let's really look at some of these other ones and decide, do they make sense to be in here? Spellskite isn't a spell to protect. We don't have a lot of protect. Well, you said we had 11, right? Oh, no. That was adding these counter spells in the other thing. So this is the only protection I have at this point. So maybe X plus X. I do like these in here. And those. Let's go to our evasive stuff. It's just, these ones are good. That's the problem. It's like, well, these work well with what we're trying to do here. The hippocamp might be the one that I have to kind of knock out. Because you're trying to cast on their turn. I have 19 spells. I think I'm going to do that. It's got to go to sideboard. Each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. What am I at? 22 cards left. So I've cut 40 cards. 2/3 of the way there. Sleep works. Cryptic Command, March of the Swirling Mist. Love this card. Is Stuffy Doll, like, people, this one's a little harder actually. Now, and I'm thinking about Stuffy Doll. So it's just preventing people from attacking me. The nice thing about Giggling Skitter Spike is its attacks, blocks, or becomes a target of a spell. Then it deals that damage to each opponent. So it's each opponent. We're going to get rid of Stuffy at this point. These are all solid to stay in there, especially Spell-Slinger. That's good. Aether Flux in there. Yep, that one works well because you're casting more than one spell. It's helping you fill your hand back up a little bit. Not really, because you're 1-for-1 in it, but you're giving 1/1 counters, isn't that? Let's do the switch printing so I can see the text on it. Let's do that one. So yeah, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a 1 counter on this creature. So this one gets bigger. So it's looting. I don't know what more to cut. Should I just play with a 121 card deck? I love the rebound part there. Guess the instance or spell, copy that spell, I may choose new targets. That's just solid for what we're doing. 4 for a 4/5 flying. 3 for a 5/5. 2. Unblockable. Is God Eternal Kefnet not good enough for this? Put it into the owner's library, 3rd from the top. When you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, copy that card and you may cast that copy. The copy costs 2 less. I don't know. I'm going to cut 21 cards. That's the thing I'm going to have trouble with here. I'm almost thinking I got to get rid of some of these duplicates there. Or instead of focused on these guys, we're going to do a sideboard on these for a second. Keeping these guys, because I'm probably going to do duplicates of my creating these guys. Although it would be better if I was casting a spell to make those. Because how many of those? This one we want to keep because then it has Myriad. Like Myriad is perfect for this. This one's a token. Token. So 1, 2. Just looking for my spells. 2. I think I'm going to get rid of this guy. Three. So I have 3 and then the one that is a creature that comes in. So 3, 4, 5, 6 if I counted all of that. Oh. I keep getting back to this guy only triggering the one time. I know we're at 10, but I think the one trigger is something that I'd like to be able to do it more than just once. Choose one that has been chosen, put 2 counters on it, draw a card, or become a copy of another target creature you control. So you couldn't copy your commander because then it would die. I do love the unblockableness of that. It's only a 2-drop. Only 17 more cards to go. I think I'll do Leisure Shredder. Oh man, I really like that card. We're going to sideboard for him right now. Copying spells. Thing is like we mentioned before, that trigger's not going to work. And most likely what the problem with this is one of the cards that's going to be face down. Let's do a different printing so we can see. Let's do that one. So look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them in the battlefield, one face down. If it's a creature, you can flip it over. For its mana cost, you're most likely hitting a instant or sorcery. So you won't ever be able to flip those back over. So maybe this doesn't work as well as I'd like it to. I really want it to work because I'm making a bunch of creatures. But it's just making 2/2 a 2/2. So you're making 3 2/2s a turn cycle and filling your graveyard up. But you're not able to flip those over for the most part. So maybe that one's done. $15 cards left. It's down to 26 creatures. Oh, we're at an hour and 23 minutes. I think with all the draw I do... Oh, I don't know if I want to get rid of Spellskite just yet. All right, let's do another playtest. I like to do this. Just keep going in and out of this, just kind of trying to see how things are flowing. This is the best way to kind of see. All right, so we got 2 lands there. Let's get one that actually has 3 land start. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got 3 land start. All right, so we would drop. What does our hand look like? We have protection. Ooh, making more of them that aren't. Yeah, so we might be leaning on getting the commander out. So let's get Island. Go to next turn. Island. Is there a 2-drop? Nope. Nope. And we'd want to keep this as a protection spell because it's flash, which is nice. Next turn. All right. We're getting the commander out. So then we would do the 3, play him. Next turn. All right. So now we have our protection built in. Like if it got around without anybody removing it. And you just got to be like, hey, you're not losing life. You're just, taking damage. Or not, you're just milling cards. So you swing in. Let's say they don't kill it. Everybody mills 10. All right. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. What can we play for 4? I think I would probably... I'd probably play the Niblets dude for 4 maybe. Get him out there. We go to next turn. All right. This isn't going to help yet. Oh, no, it will. So Nykthos. So we would tap the 1, 2, 1, 2. And we have 3, 4, 5 to play with there. And this is the one that gets you the Myriad, right? Yeah. So then you 5, 6, and we'd probably throw that out there. I'd probably swing in first to see if they try to kill this, but swing in with that, swing in with that. So right now we've milled 23 cards. Let's say they didn't kill it and we were able to cast this. Now we have a second one that has Myriad. So let's say we get to the next turn. Everything on taps. We got another land. Now it's kind of like they got to do something or they're pretty much dead, because then we go swing this. It's 10, 13, and 30. So 43. So 66 cards by turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn 5. So 66 cards, because they're all hitting. It'd be cool if they all like triggered off of each other. So in this instance, we didn't even do the spell slinging aspect of it. We would probably wait to see if they tried to kill one, throw a mithril coat on there. You could even have done the bone horde, although the attachment is a little high there. So maybe gauntlet of power. So this one, we didn't even see any spell slinging at all. So like Niblis didn't even do anything there. Oh, it might have to be I take a break because I got to think about things a little bit. Oh, because I have 15 cards to cut yet. Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to cut it here, guys. I don't want to get too long with just going through it. Sometimes you got to take that break. So I think I'm going to cut it here. Make sure you guys check back in. I'll probably maybe do a goldfish thing with it, or run through what I just did there once I have the deck done, or I might do a final deck tech once I'm actually all finished with it. But yeah, so I think this will be fun. I want to tinker with it a little bit more. I think there's going to be two ways to play the deck. It's nice that the commander doesn't cost a lot. I think it depends on what's your opening hand. So that's kind of how I would probably, it's an interesting way to play, because normally when I build my decks, I'm like, okay, this is how this deck works. Just play, play, play. This, I think it's going to depend on if I open up a hand and I have some of these guys that are, my spell-slinger dudes here. If I have one of these guys in my hand and a bunch of spells, well, then I'm going that way. I'm going to build up first. So that's really cool, is this deck is going to play so differently depending on what your opening hand is. And how the game situation goes. Like, you could have it so that you start off that you're milling everybody and they kill your commander, and now you have a bunch of these guys in your hand. Well, then you switch gears and you start building up the force. Doesn't mean that you're not going to mill them out, but you build it up and then you swing in and kill for milling later. Or maybe it just turns out that everybody's life is really low and you've built up this army and you just decide, I'm not going to have my mill commander come back out, and I just swing in and kill. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I gotta tinker with it a little bit more, but yeah, that should do it for this one. You guys, please make sure you give this a like if you haven't done so already, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like I said, podcast is going to be out for the next 2 weeks. Lowry's on vacation, so maybe check back next Monday. I'll try to get back on here, maybe with another deck tech. Maybe I'll have the final thing with this one. We'll see. Thank you guys for watching. I'll check you later. See ya. Bye. Suck up.